Hello, welcome to the Galaxy Men Show. I am here with my next guest of 2023 with a sensational artist named Millie. So I'm about to add Millie into the live now and have a chat with Millie about her incredible music that she's made. So let's add Millie in, and yeah, here is Millie. Hey, Millie, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. I just want to say first up, thank you so much for taking the time to join my show. It is such an incredible pleasure having you on the show for today. So, to people that don't know who you are, Millie, if you can give like a bit of backstory about yourself, and then we'll dive right into the questions.
Yeah, sure. So I started sort of doing music stuff when I was about 11-ish, I think. So about sort of 10 years ago now. Joined like a little local music club and just started playing the drums actually. And from there sort of picked up guitar, kind of self-taught myself a little bit. And then from there did a bit of singing. And yeah, did some pub gigs and from there got more bookings of my own. Started writing my own songs, did my first EP in 2020, which came out sort of right at the beginning of lockdown, which is really unfortunate timing. But yeah, that's sort of how it all went.
So, I'll dive right into the questions now, Millie. So, for my very first question, you've actually created incredible original songs, and for the first song I'm going to mention is Pieces. Like, what was it like coming up with the idea of wanting to create this one, and what's the whole meaning behind Pieces?
Um, so this was like one of the first ones that I wrote for my EP, I think. And a lot of the songs on that EP are kind of based around quite a toxic relationship that I came out of. So it's kind of like picking up the pieces of an argument, and sort of coming back together with that person. Probably not the best idea. But that's kind of where that track came from. And to be fair, with a lot of these songs on that EP, it they happen quite quickly. Like at the moment with my songwriting, they're kind of taking a few days to write, but these ones kind of took like an hour or so to write, so they came out fairly quickly. But yeah, that's like the first one that I wrote for the EP, not knowing it was going to be on the EP at the time, but that's yeah where that came from.
So, on to my very next question. So, you've also created another song from the EP called Tomorrow Morning. What was it like
Mm.
coming up with the idea of wanting to create this one, and what's the meaning behind this?
To be fair, it's fairly similar to Pieces. It's again that sort of toxic relationship that I was in, and it was sort of like having that argument and then me sort of being over it and then kind of crawling back the next day saying like sorry kind of thing. So that's sort of the idea behind it. Again, it took like I'd say sort of an hour for me to write that one. Just yeah, it kind of just come out. It's how I was feeling at the time. So with those sort of like emotional songs, they do come out fairly quickly because it's just how I am feeling at that time. I get it all down a bit of paper. So yeah, just sort of how that kind of happens.
So, on to my very next question. So, with the next song I'm going to mention is Falling. What was it
Yeah.
like getting to create this one, and what's the meaning behind this one?
I don't actually know what the meaning is behind this song.
Okay.
It's like I don't it kind of just happened. This song was like really, really quick to write and yeah, it's kind of whatever you want it to be really. Again, like I just don't really have a meaning for it. I really like the melody that I came up with for it and I just kind of said some words and that made sense, I guess. So yeah, that was really fun to write and I recorded the whole EP with my friend James. He was a really big help at the time, so he um sort of did the recording of the drums and all the guitars for me. Well, I played a lot of it and he played some bits too, but he sort of helped me record and produce that whole EP. But yeah, it was really fun putting it together. And like I said, it doesn't really make sense to me, the song. So it's kind of whatever the listener kind of wants to make of it, I guess.
So on to our very next question. So you've also created Under the Stars, the song Under the Stars. What was it like creating this song, and what's the meaning behind this one?
I actually lied to you at the beginning. This is the very first song that I wrote that's on this EP. Because I think I wrote this when I was like 14. So way before I even thought about writing an EP. And this was when I was attending like a little music club with one of my friends, and we had like a challenge to go away for the week and write our own song and come back and show the rest of the group when we came back the next week. And that's what I came up with. I guess it's just about like my 14-year-old self probably didn't know much about relationships at the time. So I guess it's like a little like fairy tale land of a relationship under the stars, you know, I guess.
So on to my very next question for you, Millie. So what like made you as a person decide, hey, like I want to get into singing, I want to start a singing career. What made you decide as an artist?
So when I was 5 years old, I don't know if you've heard of Jules Holland in Australia.
I've heard of the name, yeah.
Yeah, so he's like a I guess you could call him like a TV show host in the UK who does like um shows for up and coming artists. So in the past, I think he had like James Blunt on before, so he's had so many people on. But Katie Tunstall, who's here, was on Jules Holland in 2005. So she's the she did Suddenly I See. I don't know if you know that track. And other ones like Black Horse and a Cherry Tree that was really big. That was the one that she did on the show. So I watched that when I was 5 years old, and from then on, like I was like addicted to music from then on. Like she's like the catalyst that got me into music in the first place. Like I went to her album launch of her second album when I was like 6 or 7 and went and met her. So she's been like a constant thing throughout my music journey. I've always gone back to her shows. I always go and sort of like see her after her shows as well and like have a little chat. I performed at a festival in the UK called Jimmy's Farm Festival. And she was playing on the main stage the same day. And during the day I was playing on a separate stage, and she came and watched my set, which was really, really nice. So she's been like a constant thing throughout my music journey, which has just like inspired me to carry on sort of thing. So she's what sort of started off my love for music, and yeah.
On to our very next question. So on to that, like what does performing music mean to you? Like especially as an artist, like when you're performing, what does it mean to you?
Um Performing is like the best thing ever for me. Like the obviously listening to the music and writing it is amazing, and getting it down onto being recorded is so cool. But actually being able to go out and perform the songs that you've written and have people enjoy it as well as much as you do is like the best thing ever. Like I don't know, it's just such like a thrill as well. Like while you're doing it, I used to get really, really sort of stage fright. But I think the more you do it, the more you just get used to it, and it just becomes really exciting every time. So yeah, it means a lot to me to perform. And I think during lockdown, it was such a tricky period for me because I was so used to going out and doing gigs, and all of a sudden it just stopped. So I guess I kind of found a way of doing things like Facebook live streams and Instagram live streams to kind of keep it going. But it's not the same on doing it on live stream. You know, it's so much better being out in real person and doing it. But I guess it was a way of sort of still getting that audience feedback with all the comments and stuff. But I prefer being in person.
So on to our very next question. So what is your all-time favorite cover song to perform of all time, and why?
My favourite song to cover is Dancing in the Dark by Bruce Springsteen. I will never stop playing that song. It's my favourite song to cover. And I do it in a way, I mean, his version is very sort of upbeat, lots of sort of it's a very sort of heavy instrumented song. So there's loads of instruments in the back, there's loads of everything's going on in that song. So my version, I strip it right back and finger pick it and almost making it like quite a sad song. And I guess if you listen to it, the lyrics are kind of sad as well. But yeah, I kind of strip it back and make it a bit more acoustic vibes. And that will also always be my favorite song to cover and perform.
So on to my very next question. So if you could work with any top three music artists in the music industry, who would they be and why?
So first, obviously, it would be Casey still because she's just my favorite. I think my second one, Taylor Swift, I think. I just think she's so cool and she's got the best sort of like stage presence and she writes the best songs as well. And I think the best thing about Taylor Swift is she writes all of her own songs as well, which is, I guess, kind of rare nowadays. You don't get the artist, like really big artists, writing and performing and recording all their own songs. So I just think that's so, so cool. And I really love that she's got country, pop, folk, like she's got all those different genres and she makes it so good. And I think the last one has got to be Harry Styles. And I'm probably such a fan girl for saying that.
No, it's fine. It's all good.
I went and saw him in June, in Wembley last year, and it was just literally, it was the best day of my life. And he just, I don't know, he just made everything just sound so cool. And he's definitely like the modern day, like Mick Jagger or something. Like he's just amazing. So yeah.
I have to ask, by the way, because you said Harry Styles at the end. He's now in a Marvel series, a Marvel character, actually. Have you seen? Yeah. I don't know if you've seen the movie Eternals. He's actually Thanos' brother.
Really?
And he gives such an incredible performance at the end of the movie Eternals. And he has a pretty big role to fill for Marvel. So
Yeah.
it's
Well,
yeah.
I didn't know that. I absolutely like. I'm a really big fan of Marvel, and I can't
Yeah.
believe I didn't know that. That's so cool. I didn't. Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't know that. Cool.
So on to my very next question for you, Millie. So if you could give any advice to any upcoming artists that want to get into music, like what advice would you give them and why?
I think write as much as possible, even if you think it's rubbish. Just write and write and write because I think I went through a period of not writing because I thought my ideas were rubbish. But I think the more you write, the more like options you have. In a weird way, like if it is rubbish, you might come back to it in a year's time and actually think that's actually really good. Because I've done that so many times. I think I wrote when I wrote Under the Stars when I was like 14 years old, I was like, that is absolutely rubbish. But then I started scrolling through my voice notes when I was doing my EP and I was like, actually, that's quite good. So I think if just write and write and write and apply for gigs, apply for festivals. The more experience you get, the better. The more you perform, the better you'll be. And the more experience you have, the more likely people are to ask you back as well. Like once you get your foot in the door somewhere, people will always ask you to come back and perform. I've found that a lot of places look for regular people. So once you've got your foot in the door somewhere, you might get noticed by someone else within that venue. So yeah, it's always good to keep performing, keep applying, and keep writing.
So onto the advice part. So if you could give your younger self advice and looking back over your career in the music industry, what advice would you give to your younger self and why?
Write more.
Okay.
Exactly the same as the other question. I think just keep writing because as much as I might think my ideas are rubbish, someone else might not, and it could be something that could be big or potentially not, but you just never know. So just keep writing because yes, you might think it's a bit crap, but it might not be. So yeah.
So I'll sort of very next question. So if you could go anywhere on tour, taking music to any place, any country in the world, where would it be and why?
Nashville. Just because like the country, I'm not like I wouldn't say my music is heavily country or anything, but the music scene in Nashville is just insane. And
Majorly, yeah.
even just to like visit there would be a dream for me. Like I'd absolutely love to go to Nashville, just even to play in like a little bar somewhere, even if no one hears me, just to say that I've played in Nashville.
So on to my very next question. So, what are the positive and negative side into the whole music industry, and how do you get through those like negative moments as an artist?
Positive moments are definitely performing for me. Like that's the best thing ever. I absolutely love performing. Negatives I think are definitely the no's you get. Um, yeah, when you apply for somewhere and you get a no, or maybe you're not good enough for something, or they say you're not good enough for something, it's definitely the no's you get within the industry, and you definitely get a lot. Like it is hard to deal with sometimes when you get so many no's. But out of that, I guess to get through it is just to carry on, because as much, you know, I'm sure Taylor Swift got all the no's. I'm sure Harry Styles got loads of no's. So I think just to carry on and just to keep doing what you're doing, because someone will say yes. And I've had lots of yeses.
Yes. Awesome. So on to my very last question for you, Millie. So what's like next for you, like onwards 2023? What are you looking forward to for this year?
So I am writing some more. I'm hoping to make another EP at some point. So yeah, I'm writing loads. There's a few songs, like snippets of songs that I've posted on my TikTok and Instagram. So you can check those out. But yeah, just trying to write loads more, hoping to record bits of an EP, and hopefully do loads more gigs and shows.
I would love to ask, by the way, next time if you would love to appear on my show, I would love for you to perform some of your original songs, if that's possible.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Awesome. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for taking your time to join my show. It has been such an incredible pleasure, and thank you for being a guest for this week, the first week of 2023. Everyone, definitely go give Millie one amazing support. We need more inspiring artists like Millie in this world. So I just wanted to say that. Do you have like any last final thoughts that you'd like to share to people on the show?
I don't think just follow my socials. So my Instagram is Millie Kirkpatrick. My Facebook is Millie Kirkpatrick Music, and my TikTok I think is just Millie Kirkpatrick. So you can go and find me on all of those.
Tell me when the sun goes down. I know I've asked too much right now. Can you hear my voice inside your head? Have you made the right decision yet to take me out of this world again? I can see the stars already falling. Can we go under the stars away from the watch of the hypnotist? Can we go to the doctor, find some place light at the top of the skyline? Can you hear me now? Haven't seen you in a while. Can you see me now? I seem to lose all my senses. Can we go under the stars away from the watch of the hypnotist? Can we go to the doctor, find some place light at the top of the skyline? Can we go under the stars away from the watch of the hypnotist? Can we go to the doctor, find some place light at the top of the skyline? stars away from the watch of the hypnotist? Can we go to the doctor, find some place light at the top of the skyline? Can we go under the stars away from the watch of the hypnotist? Can we go to the doctor, find some place light at the top of the skyline? Can we go under the stars away from the watch of the hypnotist? Can we go to the doctor, find some place light at the top of the skyline?